I assume that the worldview will be revolutionized a big way. I, Jukka Petteri Savorinen, have solved the mystery of gravity. There are no attractive forces of any kind, and they are not needed for anything. We do not need space-time that does tricks. Einstein opened Pandora's box of physics when he pulled the concept of curved space out of his hat. Today it is claimed that space expands, curves, bubbles, twists, and waves. No one ever tells how space does these tricks. Somehow, but how? If you find a video somewhere that visually explains what happens to expanding space when its metric coordinate system grows, then tell me about this video. You will not find such a video, because the expansion of expanding space cannot be described in words nor visually. Now I, Jukka Petteri Savorinen, will tell you why the apple falls. I will tell you how the moon causes the sea to expand more strongly from the area between the center of the moon and the center of the earth on both sides of the earth. That's right, it's not space that expands. In the nuclei atoms, there are congestion areas of energy that are scattered into space, which recycle the dark energy that is scattered into space, which creates particles that are being registered, such as electrons and photons, which are still composed of energy that is scattered into space. While recycling the dark energy that is scattered into space, these expanding condensations push each other away from each other in the same proportion as they expand. Your heart expands beat by beat, and every time your heart is expanded, your steadily expanding body compresses the heart, and the expanding blood is pushed into the expanding blood vessels. You have to push the expanding apple away from the expanding from the center of the earth. When you throw an expanding apple, it continues to move away from the center of the expanding earth, but more slowly than the surface of the expanding earth. The expanding gas molecules cannot push the expanding apple forward. Expansion alone is not enough to explain gravity. There is more pressure at the center of the expanding earth than at the center of the expanding moon. The expanding atomic nuclei have to do more work at the center of the expanding earth than at the center of the expanding moon. They sweat more in the center of the expanding earth. They use denser and more massive dark energy condensations for circulation. The internal motion time of these denser and more massive propulsive condensations is slower than the corresponding condensations used by the expanding atomic nuclei in the center of the moon. This is why the congestion areas of space, dispersing energy that originate from the center of the earth, interact little with our expanding atomic nuclei. On the surface of the moon, these corresponding congestion areas of space, dispersing energy that transmit the propulsive force, push the expanding atomic nuclei more strongly away from the center of the moon. Is about to change dramatically. Part 2. What about how much our expanding atomic nuclei are being pushed towards the center of the expanding Earth? Or how much they are being pushed towards the center of the expanding moon when we are on the surface of the moon? Of course, this must be taken into account if you want to understand how gravity works and how it can be explained without the pulling force and without the curved space that physicists still don't understand. I assume they will never be able to understand them. This is because they don't really exist at all. Okay, you have to understand that from inside the expanding moon, there are different density and volume of congestion areas of energy spreading into space to transmit a pushing force than from inside the expanding Earth. The pressure at the center of the expanding Earth is greater than at the center of the expanding moon, you know. The question is, how do these congestion areas of energy spreading into space that transmit a pushing force interact with the congestion areas of energy spreading into space that transmit a pushing force, the expanding densities that transmit the expanding Earth, and how the expanding Earth is able to change them? It depends on how much they push our expanding atomic nuclei are being pushed towards the center of the expanding Earth. You probably understand that with a different force than those that transmit the pushing force, the congestion areas of energy that are dispersed into space are pushed through the expanding moon. This is not necessarily all that needs to be taken into account if you want to understand completely correctly what makes the apple fall from
central area of the expanding moon. A flow of these congestion areas of energy that transmit the pushing forces constantly pushing towards the rather large central area of the expanding Earth. Naturally, from this rather large central area of the Earth, these massive and dense expanding densities that transmit the pushing force are also pushed in a continuous flow. When you understand that these congestion areas of energy that are dispersed into space are pushed again and again through each other and interacting strongly with each other, they cause each other to expand faster. Now they interact more strongly with the expanding atomic nuclei of the expanding Earth. And so the sea expands on both sides of the Earth in this area, which is in the rather thick area formed by the centers of the Moon and the Earth. On the surface of the Moon, between your feet and the center of the Moon, where there are fewer expanding atomic nuclei than on the surface of the Earth, between your feet and the center of the Earth. The surface of the Earth pushes you a much greater distance away from the center of the Earth than the surface of the Moon pushes you away from the center of the Moon in a given amount of time.